25th. There we go. The recording, of course. Good morning. We've got a couple of interesting things going on today. So I'm just going to get right into it just a little bit past 9. First thing, we've got Antonio Stella here to talk a little bit about the regional rally. So I will give it up to you and let us know what's going on.
Great. Thank you for having me. Good morning. So again, my name is Antonio. I'm a realtor here in the state of Connecticut, part of our New England family. As you know, as EXP has announced, the regional rallies are on their way coming up here at the end of April, early May. Our date for the New England Rally is Tuesday, May 13th. This year will be hosted in Connecticut for the first time. If any of you have been to the other ones, they've been in Mass, I believe, the last couple of years. I'm not sure where before that.
They were in
Um,
Worcester. Yeah.
yeah. So, Brittany and I, my co-host, have decided to take this challenge on and host the New England Rally. As I said, here in the state of Connecticut, being held at Duncan Park, which is a minor league baseball field. If you've ever been there, it's a pretty cool setup and environment. So we're looking forward to that in itself. However, we have a great lineup of speakers. But before I get to the speakers, this is ideally first and foremost a celebration of EXP agents, EXP leadership, teams, icons across the New England areas. There are 20 plus regional rallies across the country, and we're fortunate enough to be one of them. So again, we'll be recognizing all our agents from first time transactions for the last 12 months to all the way to icons and team leaders. So that's our priority and our goal first and foremost. And then we have some great speakers flying in from across the country as well as locally. As you can take a look at the flyer there, Joe Turco and Lisa, who are from Mass. David Brook, who is not listed here but is in the new one, is here in Connecticut and I believe is in Rhode Island as well, and Massachusetts. So some local rock stars. We also have some national big time agents. John Tsai, who you see on the far left there, is the first EXP Canadian president for EXP. He runs a huge team there. Elias, who's with the Fast team out in San Diego, one of the biggest producing teams in EXP itself. And then Jessica and some others that round up the lineup here. We also have a great leadership team, executive team. Susan, Lauren on the far left, and Patrick, our COO, right there in the center. So we have a balance of a little bit of everything. We'll be talking about, as I mentioned earlier, what it takes to be an icon. We'll also be mentioning, we'll have a panel for rev share, mindset, getting agents ready for success this year and beyond. So that's ideally what we're looking to do. We are hoping to be in the 250 range for attendees, potentially 300, but right now our goal is 250. So we do have a limited space. So please, if you haven't done so already, buy your tickets. So it does allow us to plan accordingly if we know how many people are coming sooner rather than later. But we are agents, so we wait until the last week or two to make a decision on anything. But if you can see the information on the right there in the chat. It's $49 per ticket, which if you look at it nationally from a price point standpoint, we're pretty good from that price range standpoint. So as I said, please log in, grab your ticket today. Encourage, if you have a team or a strong downline or any downline, encourage them to get their tickets. We'd like to reach 125 by the end of March for signups. And as I said, ultimately get to the 250 plus range overall.
Sign up often and soon.
Yes, exactly. And I should mention that this is also a great opportunity if you're looking to attract agents to EXP. We are allowing other agents to come in as a as a general real estate event. So if you are looking to attract agents, want to allow them to see a little bit of what we do at EXP from a live standpoint, this is going to be a great event to host them, have them there, partake in everything we're doing, feel the energy, and hopefully they'll come on board right after that. So this is a great event to do that.
Antonio, is that this regular ticket price for that?
Yes, regular ticket
Okay.
prices. You can have them pay. We're encouraging, um, you know, grab an extra two, three tickets and invite your top two, three agents that you're trying to attract to EXP and your downline. Get the ticket for them, but obviously, sometimes it's best to allow them to buy their own ticket. But it is open to them if you want to invite them from a personal standpoint.
All right, great. And we're also, I had mentioned a little bit earlier, we're also putting together a caravan, if you will, for anybody coming, from northern New England down the 95 corridor. We're going to have a couple of little vans, or we're trying to get a bus, actually, a party bus, if we possibly can. We got to get that sponsored. But anyway, so then that way people don't have to go by themselves, but more to come on that as well. But thank you, Antonio. That's really
Yeah,
helpful.
you're welcome. Hopefully, you guys get a big bus or two and join us, as many of you that you can. There are also, if you wanted to come in the day before, some major hotels in walking distance to the park, so you can come in the day before and be there, the morning of, as opposed to driving in. So it's up to you, but there's no excuses. We have everything you need in the area. Make arrangements to be there, and hopefully, we'll get an opportunity to meet there, and you'll get an opportunity to attend. If you
Awesome.
haven't attended yet, this is a great time to start.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Antonio. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Have a great meeting.
We will keep promoting.
Yes, I'm in the workplace. If anybody has any questions, connect with me there. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Sayonara. All right, just a little bit of housekeeping before we get to it. So the latest stats on home sales, median sales price is 465. The number of sales, 463. This was for January. This is as far out as they go. And the pending sales, 621. So the pricing is, the median sale price is up 5%, and number of sales is up. So that's good news. Pending sales is down. So I don't know if that just has to do with the time of year or whatever, but that's the latest stats. One other thing too, I don't know, you probably all got this, but RIAR is upping their prices just a little bit. So the application fee has gone up, but the monthly licensing fee, which is what everybody's paying for the MLS, is going up $5. Just so you know that if you see that coming out. Now, EXP actually pays that up front for us, but if you see that coming through EXP on the billing, RIAR did it. So they just went up about, just a little bit on each one, but if you log in, you'll probably get this information as well. And hey, Lori, I think you're here. Did you want to say a couple of words?
I'm good. I can't think of anything that we need to go over except letting people know that we will be offering the deed video that you did. We're going to be putting it in the checklist if you have trouble finding the deed and if you want to go through it. And if you have any questions, let us know.
Great. So this is just a slide so I put together, I think it's 1 minute and 33 seconds. It's just how to find deed, land records, anything like that in Rhode Island. We have 39 different towns. We don't have any one place. I gave you a link to a third-party website that has all the states that can send you directly to it. So that, as Lori said, it will be in the checklist. It will also be in the regular state, the official state site under files, so you'll be able to find it. Just a couple that are easy, a couple you got to pay for, but anyway, this is the piece of this regarding the deeds. Thank you, Lori.
It is so important to have that up front. I would think before your first listing appointment. We have had instances where you've gotten to P&S and the owners on the deed are not the people on the P&S. So it's very, very important to grab that deed before you go meet with your clients.
Yeah, and not to mention there's certainly scams about that running around. We ran into 2 of them last year, actually. People trying to sell property that It wasn't there. So, all right, thank you, Lori. The other thing I just wanted to mention, the NPS scores, this is really important to all of EXP. We really listen to what it is you're saying. You can do, you will get an NPS score on a scheduled basis. Also, if you come into the world, and click on get a question, you'll also get an NPS score. As you know, it takes 5 seconds to fill it out. But you can also do an instant NPS survey if you so choose. And that's in your My EXP. It's right down on the bottom under instant NPS service. And you can let us know how we're doing. The good, the bad, if you have any suggestions, anything, please, please, please let us know. Appreciate that very much. Rhode Island Agent Advisory Council, we are working on right now putting together a series of events to go out for the rest of the year, both educational, fun, and camaraderie, whatever. So we're going to have at least one a quarter. We're working on that and should have that done in the next couple of months. Also, there is places, if you will, in the Agent Advisory Committee that you can, if we're going to be opening that up for 1 or 2 slots as people come in and move out within the years. You'll be seeing an email about that if it's something that you'd like to do. Okay, and regarding this, if you can put this in the slot too. So we put this together for you, for people, if you need somebody to do an open house. Scott, I know I saw this in chat for you. So you can find somebody to do an open house or showings for you last minute. I think there's 17 or 18 people that are signed up that are more than willing to do that for you. And I believe Yael just put a link in the chat for you to do that. Okay, now we're getting to the interesting stuff. Now, Lynn Kaiser Conrad is Regulatory Relations Senior Principal. Do I have the right picture, Lynn? Oh, you're muted, honey.
That's a little bit dated, but I kind of like the way I look there, so we'll use it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So Lynn is going to go over ethics, bills, trust, and also she's got. Would you like me to run your slides for you, Lynn?
Do you
They're
mind?
right there. No, they're right there.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Then I'll just, if it's okay with you, Lynn, I'll just say, next slide, please.
Perfect.
We're good. All right. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to come into your meeting. I know that your time is valuable, and I am very appreciative that you're sharing your time with me. So today we're going to talk about ethics, and that ethics builds trust. And if we'll go to the next one, Lynn. So consumers who trust a business or a salesperson do business with them. So
Wait, you know what? This is no, okay. I'm sorry.
Is it moving wonky?
There we go. We're good. We're good.
Okay.
That was me. My fault.
That's all good. So satisfied customers build a referral base for the business because they tell people that they were satisfied. And I'm sure you've done the same thing. If you've gone somewhere and had a less than satisfactory experience, you're going to tell people, oh, I didn't like that restaurant, or, oh, the customer service at that store was not good, whatever it happens to be. And the reverse is true. They also say that I think somebody who has a positive experience might tell 6 people. Somebody who has a negative experience might tell 20 people, if I have those statistics correct. So it matters that we're giving people a positive experience, because literally it takes a lot more positive experiences for the word to spread. And you have those positive experiences because you deliver what you say you're going to deliver. So business begets business if you're doing it the right way. We'll go to the next one, Lynn. So what is a code of ethics? A code of ethics is a set of values that participants are obligated to uphold for the benefit of all the stakeholders. And the realtor organization has a code of ethics, and we voluntarily joined that realtor organization. We voluntarily joined eXp Realty, who's a member of the National Association of Realtors, and therefore we then joined the National Association of Realtors, our state association, our local association, and then we abide by those rules. So, and we're not the only industry that has a code of ethics. The law industry has a code of ethics. Lots of industries have their own codes of ethics. We'll go to the next one, Lynn. So what is this? Ethics is like this whole kind of dialogue. It's a topic. It's bigger than just realtor code of ethics. It's a philosophy, really. And so the Center for the Study of Ethics in Professions is at Illinois Tech in Chicago. And it has been studying ethics for more than 40 years. They offer a free newsletter. If you like this kind of topic, this discourse about what's ethical, what's not ethical, you can subscribe. And it has nothing to do with real estate. It's on a variety of topics. Last month, I sat in on a webinar that they hosted, and it was about the ethics of AI regarding conservation. And I was kind of like, huh? But how it impacts, kind of like the footprint that makes on planet Earth, how it impacts our environment. Not a topic I would have thought I would have come across reading in somewhere on a news feed. So it was interesting. It was different. It was thought-provoking. Business Ethics Magazine is an online magazine that focuses on ethics in the business world. It too offers a free newsletter. And again, I just suggest these things if you like the philosophical idea. Ethisphere Institute, this is a for-profit company, and it's kind of like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. As a company, you pay them a fee. They've created benchmarks. They've created definitions. They then measure your company based on what they've deemed is the benchmark for ethics. And then they give you that stamp of ethical approval, if you will. And so the reason I put all of these on here is literally just to talk about how ethics matters, and that the consumer in the marketplace across the globe is looking at businesses that are ethical because they want to do business with companies they trust. They want to spend their time and their money somewhere where they feel comfortable and confident with that business. We'll go to the next one, Lynn. So what are some causes of unethical behavior? Well, they may include greed or financial gain, power and control, hubris, fear, or ignorance. And I will tell you, in my seat as a senior principal in the EXP regulatory department, what scrolls across my screen, this is an opinion, I haven't done any research, there's no empirical data to support what I'm about to say. It's just my opinion that many of the matters that I see are because of ignorance. I actually think that's a good thing, because ignorance can be fixed. Ignorance, you can learn and overcome what you do not know. And so oftentimes an ethics violation or a case that's gone to the Division of Real Estate is something that the real estate licensee did, but shouldn't have done, but didn't understand. And so that's one of the causes for unethical behavior. We'll go to the next one, Lynn. So in life, you are either the leader, well, you're always the leader of yourself, right? Once you become a grown-up and you're an adult, majority age, you're the leader of yourself. And then when you get into work, you are either the leader of yourself, and you may also be the leader of others. So where does ethical behavior start? Well, it starts with leadership, which means it starts with you. So I suggest that you create clear expectations for yourself and then lead by example. Because if you're walking your walk and you're talking your talk and you're living your ethical life, that's going to be evident to other people who are choosing who they're going to do business with. We'll go to the next one, if you would, Lynn. And so if you are a team leader, and not if you're the leader of yourself, obviously all of this applies if you're the leader of yourself, but if you're a team leader, I specifically suggest this because I think oftentimes team leaders are busy with business that they don't think about perhaps some of these things. So here's my suggestion. Make ethics training available to your team. Yes, we know that the National Association of Realtors has a requirement every 3 years. You have to do ethics training. I'm saying above and beyond. Like Lynn is bringing you this ethics training right now. Do something for your team, if once a year even, or even if it's a book that you suggest. But I would suggest putting ethics on your agenda. Encourage NAR designations such as At Home with Diversity, the Certified Buyer Representative, the C2EX. And again, it doesn't have to be NAR, but a professional designation. And the reason, again, I suggest this is because one of those top reasons for unethical behavior is ignorance. So the better educated we are, the less likely we are to be ignorant because we're educated. Respect every complaint as a team leader, even if it seems ridiculous, even if it's the 15th complaint from the same person. Respect that complaint because there may be something that you can learn from what the complainant is saying, and that you can then impart that knowledge, that insight to people on your team. Associate with ethical colleagues. Remember when you were growing up and your parents would ask, who are your friends? Is that who you want to associate with? Is that who you want to be known by? You sure you want to hang out with those people? The same is true in business. Hang out with ethical folks. Highlight and celebrate ethical behaviors. If somebody on your team has done something, they've taken the high road and it's obvious that they've done that, they've helped a customer above and beyond, they've lived a certain way with their ethics, bring that to the forefront, celebrate so that you again are leading and teaching by example. Have a defensible position. A lot of team leaders do not think about this. Each state within EXP has its own defensible position. As a company, we have a defensible position. And why is that important? Because if a complaint should come in, and let's hope a complaint never ever comes in, but if a complaint comes in and you have to respond to that complaint, your first place you go to is your defensible position. What do you do on a regular basis? Is ethics training part of your agenda, whether it's quarterly or annually? Are you encouraging folks to take additional education? Do you bring in guest speakers? And what's your system? What are you doing on a consistent, regular, duplicatable process so that you can say, this is how we process everything. So if we made a mistake, it's a one-off because this is how we do it. Have a corrective action plan. If again, for example, somebody on the team makes a mistake, or whatever that mistake happens to be, they let the home inspector in the house, and then they had to run off to an appointment and left the home inspector there alone, but didn't tell the listing agent or the seller that that was going to happen. Whoops. Then what are you going to do if that happens? As a team lead, what happens? Do you write a letter? Do you call a meeting? Do you review what's appropriate within the MLS rules or the Realtor Code of Ethics? What's your corrective action plan? Again, this is important for your defensible position should a complaint come in, which again, I'm going to say, we hope that it never ever happens, that you never have to deal with it. And communicate acceptable behaviors and changes. If something is changing, like we had the NAR settlement in August of 2024, that was a big change in the industry. So when something changes, even though the company is educating, as a team lead, you might also want to bring that to folks' attention who are part of your team. We'll go to the next one, Lynn. So the National Association of Realtors Code of Ethics is a pledge of professional conduct. We pledge that we're going to uphold that code. There are 3 sections in the code: duties to our customers and clients, duties to the public at large, and duties to other realtors. There's also a preamble, which is not considered a section. And again, I'm going to suggest, if you haven't read it lately, read the Code of Ethics. And the reason that I again suggest this is it's like 10 pages long. It's really not this huge voluminous thing. Literally, you could read it while you're waiting for your next customer at the next showing appointment. But the preamble is where I would suggest, if you're ever kind of in a slump or wondering what the heck you're doing in real estate because you're just frustrated or whatever, read the preamble. It's pretty lofty. It's inspirational. It's motivational. It's extremely well written. And I just think it's a great piece to read. Maybe you should read it every year, part of your, kind of like your vows, your renewal vows. Go read the preamble to the Code of Ethics. And then we have 17 articles, and we have 88 standards of practice. We can find it on our website. Carly's saying, yeah, super easy. There's 88 standards of practice. Those standards of practice within the code of ethics are really to kind of elucidate the intention of the article. You cannot be found in violation of a standard of practice, nor can you quote that as the reason for your filing a complaint. You're filing a complaint against Article 15, not standard of practice 15.1 or 15.2. So that's just a little point of what I want to say, like distinction there. So we'll go to the next one if you would. So here I suggest being part of the system. Yep, go one back before this one. Yeah, right here. Be part of the system. And again, you're like, oh, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. I totally get it. And so you do what's best for you, right? Because you're walking your walk and talking your talk. But when, or if, not when, if a complaint should be filed against you or someone on your team, what happens is that complaint is filled with negative stuff, right? It's a complaint. So when that committee sees the complaint, they're reading negative stuff about you. If you're part of the system, whether you're on the grievance committee, the professional standards committee, or if those committees are full and you join the education committee or the commercial real estate committee or the RPAC committee or whatever, the events committee, whatever committee speaks to you that you're going to enjoy being a part of, then you're meeting your colleagues in that professional work environment and they're building an impression about you. So should a complaint ever come in, the pendulum won't swing so far to the negative side. It might hover a little bit more toward the neutral because they know you. And they say, oh, no, 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 no. I know Carly, and Carly is not that person. So I want to find out more about this, right? But if they don't know Carly, they're like, oh, who's this Carly person? And I'm glad she's smiling. And so again, you don't want the bias to be extreme against you. Again, it all depends on your time and your commitment. But the other reason why I suggest joining a committee is because you also learn and you can develop your business. And remember at the very beginning, we said ethics builds trust. So by joining a committee, you're learning what your colleagues are doing. You're learning the behaviors of your colleagues. You're learning what their perception of the business are. And if you're on an ethics or a grievance committee, the grievance or the professional standards committee, you're also learning the expectations of the consumer. So if need be, you could modify your business to make sure you're delivering what the consumers are saying they want based on these complaints that they're filing. I hope that makes sense. And so you can deliver, even though some of the complaints will be frivolous, right? But some of them will not be. And some of them you say, oh, so the consumer perceives it this way. Well, that's an easy tweak for me to make in my business. So I'm delivering what they are telling me is important. We'll go to the next one, please, Lynn. So the NAR, let me just quickly tell you about the process. And the reason I'm telling you about this is because I'm confident that nobody here has ever gone through this process. So we'll go through it real quick. So anyone can file a complaint. Anyone. They don't have to be associated with a transaction. They don't have to be associated with you. Anyone. Emphasize, anyone can file a complaint. In a complaint, the articles are stated and the SOP may be used for clarification, but as I said, you cannot be found in violation of an SOP, a standard of practice. It's a grand jury format. So first it comes to the grievance committee, and the grievance committee determines if on its face it were true, would a violation have taken place? And if the answer is yes, they pass that forward to the professional standards committee. The grievance committee also has some power. They have to make sure that it's been filed within the time restraint, which is 180 days. They have to make sure that the correct parties are named and that the correct articles are cited. The grievance committee can toss articles out and they can add articles. In one particular state, the grievance committee can also include, I guess they can do this in all states, but in one particular state, this is the standard of practice, which is that the grievance committee includes the broker of record if the broker has not been named, which I find fascinating because if the broker hasn't done the behavior, I don't know why the broker should be included in the complaint, but in one particular state, that's what they do. If there are concurrent criminal, civil, or a state agency like the division, the Real Estate Commission, Division of Real Estate has an open case, then typically the ethics case is going to be put on abeyance and it's on hold until that other more superior case has been held or resolved. All right, we'll go to the next one, Lynn. So the hearing is based on due process. Due process was granted to all of us in the United States in Amendment 14 of our Constitution. And there is sworn testimony, evidence is presented, witnesses are called, legal counsel is allowed, realtor counsel is allowed. You can have both legal counsel and realtor counsel. Obviously, realtor counsel does not practice law, but they have a lot of the same powers in this tribunal. They can call witnesses, they can present, they can cross-examine, they can present evidence. Usually there is a court reporter recording everything. If there is not a court reporter, there is some recording documenting the event. Findings of violations on an ethics case are based on clear, strong, and compelling proof. So again, sometimes people that sit on these panels, they're just volunteers like you and I, but sometimes they get a little confused about clear, strong, and compelling proof. Also, sometimes if somebody's pleading a very emotional case, people on the panel can get caught up in the emotions and forget the facts. So with finesse, with diplomacy, it's important to help reel them back to be focused on the facts of the matter. Again, another reason why I suggest you volunteer, so that in case people in your area get pulled over to the emotional side, you can gently bring them back to the factual side. Discipline may include a letter of warning, a letter of reprimand, requirements to complete education, and those I would say are the most common that I see. Fines not to exceed $15,000. That's a pretty hefty fine. Usually that is only reserved for a third offense. Probation of membership between 30 days and 12 months. And with reinstatement, or expulsion from membership for 1 to 3 years, and suspension or termination of MLS rights only if the MLS is owned by that realtor organization. They can't suspend your MLS rights if it's a completely independent, separate entity. And I will tell you that one of our DMBs had to file an ethics complaint against another broker because that broker was behaving badly, frankly. And that broker said, I won't be able to get a fair hearing in my entire state. And their state was just a tad bigger than Rhode Island. Just kidding. It was a lot bigger than Rhode Island. And so that hearing was held then in another state. In fact, geographically, probably the second largest state in the nation. And they found that broker to be in violation, and they expelled that broker from the realtor organization, which I was dumbfounded. I thought, though, the punishment fit the complaint, but I was really, that's the first I've seen of that. And wow, I'm sure that broker regrets that they went out of state. The realtor organization can also charge an administrative fee, and they have to charge the same fee to every person. So they can't say, oh, well, because Ms. Kinley sits on our committee, we're only going to charge her $250, but because Peter Brown, we don't even know who he is, we're going to charge him $500. That's not okay. It's whatever the fee is to all the parties. The other thing that I think is very important to know is if there's an arbitration case, for arbitration, the rules of evidence are different than for an ethics case. Remember, ethics was clear, strong, and compelling. Arbitration is a preponderance of evidence, a preponderance. So you better prove your case, right? And that's, again, so that we're clear on that. If you bring a complaint against me and you say for arbitration and you say, hey, Lynn, you need to pay me some of that money, that's all on you to have to convince. I mean, I'm going to defend my position, but if I said nothing and you did not build a powerful enough case to tell that committee that I need to pay you, they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay you, because the complainant really has the burden of proving that they deserve whatever it is they're complaining about. All right, so let's go to the next one. So in some of the questions that the committee is going to ask, they're going to ask, is it a contractual agency relationship? Was there a buyer-broker exclusive relationship? Was there an employment contract? Who showed the property? Who wrote the contract? Was there a series of uninterrupted events? Was there abandonment or estrangement between the customer and any of the real estate agents? And what was the duration of that lapse of relationship? Was there a breakdown in communication between the customer and the real estate agent? And how long did that last? And what was the cause of that? And what was the relationship between the parties? Was there a familial relationship between the parties? Did they meet online and never actually meet? What happened there? And we just had a matter, in fact, where Realtor A showed the buyer the property, and then the buyer met Realtor B. And I'm not exactly sure how Realtor B was introduced to the buyer. And Realtor B showed the buyer the same property and showed them lots of properties. And the buyer declared, we're never working with Realtor A again. Does this sound familiar? And then when it was time, I guess, then the buyer wasn't responding to Realtor B anymore. And Realtor B was like, what happened? We were having such a great love affair. And then Realtor B saw that the house went under contract in the MLS and said, wait, what's going on? And so watched it, and then saw that Realtor A was the one that got them to sign a contract and said, wait, but I'm the one. Well, were they? Realtor A showed them the same property as Realtor B. Realtor B showed them lots of other properties. We don't know what Realtor A did. Did they show them lots of other properties? But what we do know is Realtor A got that buyer to write the contract. Was there interference? I don't know. Realtor A had them first, then Realtor B came in. Was there abandonment? Not on the realtor's part, but maybe on Realtor A in the beginning. I don't know. So these are questions that the committee has to ferret out those answers by asking good questions, again, based on the facts of the matter. We'll go to the next one, if you would, please. Now, this one, we're going to have a little, if you guys would just participate with me a little bit, either put something in the chat or use some emojis. So we're going to talk about situational ethics. And this gets a little, could be a little emotional. We could have different perspectives. So we'll go to the next one, Lynn. So if you would, stealing is wrong. If you agree with that first comment, stealing is wrong, give me a thumbs up or somehow acknowledge. Oh, there's a reaction on the bottom of the screen. And so you can react. Stealing is wrong. So you thumbs up if you agree, thumbs down, thumbs very bad. We have a very bad, we have some thumbs. Okay, so it seems we have consensus, right? That stealing is wrong. We can all agree on that. So let me ask you this. Stealing to feed a starving child might change your position. So if I knew that if I stole that loaf of bread and I fed it to that child, I would save that child's life for another day. Is that okay? In that situation regarding stealing, is it permissible? I mean, we just said stealing was wrong, but to save a child's life. So it makes you think, right? Stealing, it's still, right? I mean, it's still wrong. I think we'll agree. It's still wrong. But can I justify stealing if I'm saving that little kid's life? So let's look at this example. This is scenario one. A stock trader pays employees at publicly traded companies for confidential information before the news is released to the public. The trader makes lots of money from his insider trading information. Let me ask you, did the trader behave unethically? Did the trader behave unethically by asking those employees to give him information and then giving those employees money for it? Is that unethical? Go ahead and do a reaction. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. So Peter has answered my next question, which is, did the trader break any laws? Yes. Yes, the trader has broken the laws, and yes, that it is unethical. Thank you for participating. So now let's consider this. Let's go to the next slide. So this is scenario 2. So now I'm putting you in the hot seat. You carefully and thoughtfully saved your money and invested it in your company's stock for a college fund for each of your 2 wonderful children. You have 2 beautiful kids, you love them, and they're going to start college in the fall, which is in August. So in just less than 6 months, your kids are going to college, and you've put all this money aside for them so that they can go debt-free, no loans. All they have to worry about is being a student, getting through school. At a dinner party this past weekend, 2 days ago, where we just had a weekend, right? You're at a dinner party with some friends and some coworkers. And son of a gun, if the company's comptroller doesn't come up to you and tell you quite confidentially that it is highly probable that several top executives are going to be indicted soon, and the company may have to file bankruptcy. So take care of yourself. Uh-oh. Now you have some information. You don't know exactly what it is, but you have some information that something's going to happen. So the question is, number 1, and again, you don't have to answer this. This is really more that we're having this for discourse, right? There's no judgment on whatever your answers are. I would sell the stock and protect my children's college funds. Would you do that? See, I'm thinking that you've heard this information and it's in your head now, right? And so you can't get it out of your head. You can't unhear it. The question is, how are you going to act upon it? Would you disregard the information? You would say, well, I don't know that it's true or false. Or you'd say, even if it is true, there's nothing I can do about it. That would be considered insider trading, and that's illegal. So then the question goes to my answers in part 2, right? When it's me and my children who are going to college, are my answers in part 2 consistent with scenario 1, with that third-party arm's length guy who was buying information, and that was bad, bad, bad? Is that the same case here? I don't know. I don't know. So in situational ethics, it may be easier to defend emotionally, internally, or for whatever reason, your change in perspective. But really, the facts remain the same. Insider trading is still legally and ethically wrong. Insider trading is bad. How does situational ethics relate to real estate practices? The NAR Code of Ethics is not situational ethics and cannot be molded to the situation. The NAR Code of Ethics is built on principles. And so that's what we look at when a matter comes in. Are the principles, have they been violated? So let's go to the next slide. So ask yourself in this scenario, does the end justify the means? If I don't get caught, is it still cheating? And is making the sale everything? Because if the answer to those questions is yes, then you probably have found yourself in a situational ethics environment. And it's up to you, right? You live with you. I don't live with you. You have to go to sleep with you. You get up with you in the morning. You have to decide what's right for you and your behaviors. And if you're a team lead, what's tolerable for your team. So, but that's kind of, those 3 questions kind of help you determine whether or not you're in a situational ethics environment. So we'll go to the next slide. We're going to take a look at Article 12. And so here I'm definitely going to ask you to have a couple of questions after this slide. So if you would either in the chat or you can unmute, whatever works best for you so that you can participate a little bit. So this is Article 12. You see, there's not a whole lot of words, but listen, I'm going to read it to you. Listen to it. There's a lot of stuff packed in here. Realtors shall be honest and truthful in their real estate communications and shall present a true picture in their advertising, marketing, and other representations. I'm parking there for a second, other representations. That's pretty huge, right? That's other representations. That's pretty all-encompassing. Realtors shall ensure that their status as real estate professionals is readily apparent in their advertising, marketing, and other representations, and that the recipients of all real estate communications, all, it doesn't say some, it doesn't say in this environment or that environment, it says all, totally inclusive. And all real estate communications are or have been notified that those communications are from a real estate professional. So there's this thing called social media. You may have heard of it. People are on it all the time. And so all communications. So if you're on social media, whether it's your family site and only your family is on it, it's still a communication. If you start talking about real estate, because so many times I'll hear an agent say, but that was on my private site. Article 12 doesn't say private site, public site. It says all real estate communications are from a real estate professional. Obviously, your family should know that you're in real estate. But let's say somebody invites somebody new to the group. They need to know. You need to make them aware. So just keep that in mind, that whether you're in a group text, and you maybe don't know everybody who's on that group text, if you're talking real estate, you have to, according to Article 12, notify those parties that have the opportunity to hear what you have to say, whether it's oral or written, that you're a real estate professional, and other representations. So advertising, marketing, and other representations. Boy, that's, again, so broad brush. It's huge. What does that mean? All right, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so here's a case study. A consumer observed a sign on a vacant lot, reading for sale, called 212-555-1234, thinking the consumer would be dealing with a for sale by owner. The individual called the number. The consumer was surprised and offended that the lot was exclusively listed by Realtor Brokerage PDQ and that the phone number on the sign was the personal cell phone number for PDQ Realtor agent. The consumer filed a complaint against PDQ Brokerage and PDQ agent, alleging a violation of Article 12 of the Code of Ethics. Do you think, based on what I just read of Article 12, do you think, based on this little bit of information that I've given you, that there is a violation of Article 12? Just a thumbs up, something in the chat, whatever you're comfortable with. Do you think there's a violation of Article 12? Yes. Yes. Basically, remember, it was other marketing, all communications. So we'll go to the next one and let's see what happens here. So at the hearing, PDQ broker stated that the PDQ agent had the broker's permission to put up the sign. Sure, why not? Put up the sign. PDQ agent said, as part of the defense, that the sign was not a formal advertisement, like a newspaper ad or a business card or a billboard, to which Article 12 applies. Well, we just read that it was advertising, marketing, and other representations. It didn't just say advertising. And even if it did, isn't a yard sign advertising? Doesn't that notify the neighborhood and anybody who's walking by, driving by, rolling by, however they're getting by? See that? Sure, sure. So we'll go to the next one. So the hearing panel determined the sign, it was, in fact, of course it was an advertisement and fell under Article 12, and both the broker and the agent were in violation. And for me, this is an indication, again, of ignorance. They didn't understand Article 12. They didn't understand, or their interpretation of what advertisement was is different than what the panel saw as advertisement. So again, I suggest reading the Code of Ethics. If you haven't read it lately, like I said, I think it's like 10 pages. It isn't particularly long, but I also believe that you will get some tips on how to conduct your business, how to improve your business. How can you provide better service to your customers because you've read the Code of Ethics, because you understand what the Realtor organization has put down as the 17 articles and 88 standards of practice as to what the focus is and what the benefits are to the consumer and how we're protecting the consumer. so that you can understand how to deliver better to that consumer. We'll go to the next slide if you would, Lynn. And so success is not final and failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. That's a quote by Winston Churchill. He was full of a lot of fantastic quotes. But the reason I have this here is because I think it's really, really important to know that should a complaint ever be filed against you, which again, I'm going to say we hope it never, ever is, but should one be filed against you, the first thing I suggest that you do is feel your feelings. Maybe you're going to feel like you got, a punch in the gut. Your breath is going to be taken away. You're going to say, how in the world did this happen to me? I do everything so good. I'm so conscientious. Okay. Feel those feelings. Go to sleep. Get a good night's sleep. Wake up in the morning and call your state broker. The very next morning. Don't wait a week. Don't wait 3 days. The next morning, call your broker. Your broker knows this stuff. Your broker has lived this stuff. They can help you. And the other wonderful thing about the broker is they're not emotionally, like you're going to be emotionally attached and involved with this complaint that's been filed. The broker is not. The broker is going to be able to look at this from a reasonable, factual, arm's length. They're going to be able to help guide you through this. Take advantage of that valuable counsel that you're going to have from that broker. The other thing to keep in mind, and the other staff that you have, and your other state staff, they're going to be able to help you with this, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. You're not alone. The other great thing is that EXP has this department called Regulatory Relations, and the Regulatory Relations Department is here to support the broker. So you go to your broker supports you, your broker needs support, the broker comes to the regulatory department. So there's layers. And then should there be, depending on the complexity of the matter, should there be other needs, your broker has additional resources. There's a compliance department, there's a legal department. Of course, the legal department supports and defends the company, not us as individuals. So talk to your broker about what's going on and how you can build your defense and what the most appropriate response is. And so again, I just want to, it's not the end of the world if a complaint comes in. It feels like it initially, because how could somebody think that you're anything less than the wonderful person that you are? But the broker can help you see the best strategy to respond to that. So that wraps up, Lynn, my presentation, but I am here if you have any questions or you want to talk about anything.
Well, that's great, Lynn. Thank you so much for sharing all that. It puts it all into perspective. It's, if we know all of this and we think we know exactly what we're going to do, but that's great. Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions or any thoughts for Lynn? You can certainly put it in chat or just unmute. I think heads are spinning, Lynn.
Well, and I also get it. I mean, nobody wants to have a complaint filed against them, right? It's a scary thing, but it's not. It is so not the end of the world. And different states have different approaches, whether it's ethics or whether it's the real estate division, they have different approaches. Some states I love working with because, oh my goodness, they are chock full of common sense. And other states, I scratch my head and go, wait, what? What? But yeah, I see Carly's cracking up. But it's true, give me a common sense. This is great. It's logical. We can work with you. If, we don't have any common sense, it's going to be a little more complicated, but that doesn't mean that we can't still come up with a good response.
And I think just getting across, there's so much support if anything happens, and we get little things here and there. Is this going to turn into anything? Is it not? But just know, no matter what happens, we got your back. We'll work with you on anything and get from point A to point Z.
So, and let me just tell you, Lynn, I don't know. Golly, I should be like a baseball person, right? And know my stats. I don't know my stats. I don't know like how many times I get up to bat and how many, runs I've hit, how many homers, but I can tell you that far my wins outpace my losses, if you would. I say but they're not me, but it's the matters that I've worked on we are approaching 900 matters that I have worked on. And yeah. And I know that's a big number. And by far, we've had more dismissed than we've had sanctions by far. And I really kind of wish that I knew. Yeah, big company, but we're huge. I mean, big number, but we're a huge company. Yeah, no. When you think of 80,000 licensees, that's nothing. And you think of how people like to complain, that's a drop in the bucket, So yeah, no. It is a big number, but it's nothing compared to statistically, it's a small number, if that makes any sense.
That's a good point too, Carly, what you said. It's a good reminder, especially as a mentor. So if you have a mentor, that's the first stop. If you have a team leader, that's also the first stop, and it can go right. I mean, of course, I gotta know too, but right up the food chain. That's a very good point.
Yes, but I will say that even though if they have a mentor and they're part of a team and they talk to those folks, the broker is still where the buck stops. So while it's good to get advice from your peers and your colleagues, make sure you're touching base with that broker, because sometimes the best advice will come from that broker. I'll phrase it that way.
And from the standpoint of a mentor or a team leader, exactly, maybe in collaboration with the broker. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
The broker needs to be part of, when there's a complaint, the broker absolutely needs to be part of the equation. Yeah. So
a lot to think about. Stuff you don't think about every day, but this is
no, because you're not getting in trouble, and that's the good news, right?
Okay, we'll take that. Yeah.
Right. If you're not getting in trouble, this is not. But for me, it also is. I like the philosophy. I like the discourse about ethics. I like the what if. I like the supposition. I mean, I just like the intellectual conversation. I think it's interesting. So I don't want to run over your meeting because I'm jabbering over here.
Oh no, it's great. It's great. Is anybody else anything for Lynn? You got her now. She's amazing. All right, I guess we're good. And 9:59, and there we are. I can't thank you enough for this, Lynn. Good reminder all the way around.
Well, thank you for having me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope it stays sunny and blue skies up there.
So far, so good.
Nice.
Thank you. Take care. And everybody, we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much. Lynn. Okay.